everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on history's most lavish banquets. But we're not here for the food. We're here for the secrets, the betrayals, and the murders. Because throughout human history, the dining table has never been just a place to eat. It has been a stage for politics, power, and death. So grab a seat, but be careful what you taste, as we uncover the world's deadliest feasts, where every bite could have been your last. Our story begins in the heart of ancient Rome. Imagine the scene. Emperor Claudius, a man known more for his books than his battles, sits down to a meal prepared by his most trusted servants. On the menu tonight? His absolute favorite dish, a heaping plate of mushrooms. But what he doesn't know is that his ambitious wife, the formidable Agrippina, has a special recipe. She's carefully laced the mushrooms with a deadly poison. As the emperor takes his first few bites, his lips begin to turn pale. He collapses. And just like that, with one poisoned meal, the future of Rome is changed forever. This single act of treachery paves the way for Nero, one of the most infamous and tyrannical rulers in Roman history. All because of a plate of mushrooms. Centuries later, let's travel across the English Channel to the court of the Tudors. In 1551, the young King Edward VI, son of the notorious Henry VIII, was rumored to have been slowly and systematically poisoned. The suspected culprits? His own political rivals, desperate to seize control of the throne. The Tudors were famous for their extravagant banquets, feasts that lasted for days with endless courses of roasted meats and fine wines. Yet within those glittering halls of gold, whispers of death always lingered. In Tudor England, receiving a dinner invitation from the right person could make your career. But an invitation from the wrong one? Well, that wasn't just a social misstep. It could be a death sentence. Now, let's journey east to the final, frantic days of the Russian Empire in 1916. In a dimly lit, candle-strewn room in St. Petersburg, a group of nobles led by Prince Felix Yusupov has invited a very special guest to a late-night dinner. That guest is Grigory Rasputin, the mystic monk who holds an almost hypnotic power over the Tsarina. To neutralize his influence, the conspirators serve him cakes and wine, all heavily laced with cyanide. They watch, waiting for him to drop. But he just keeps eating and drinking. The poison, shockingly, has no effect. Panic sets in. What was meant to be a quiet, clean assassination descends into chaos. They shoot him, they stab him, and when he still won't die, they finally drag him to the frozen Neva River and drown him. That dinner wasn't just the end of one man. It was the beginning of the end for Imperial Russia itself. From the brutal cold of Russia, we move to the unparalleled elegance of France and the dazzling court of Versailles. Here, during the reign of Louis XIV, the Sun King, royal banquets weren't merely feasts. They were arenas of power. Courtiers would scheme and fight for the privilege of simply dining near the king, because a single favorable word from him could mean immense fortune, while a glance of disapproval could mean exile. Yet amidst the golden chandeliers, the soaring music, and the finest cuisine in the world, one position was absolutely critical: the food taster. Even the all-powerful Sun King knew that his life was constantly at risk. He understood that in a court simmering with ambition and jealousy, one wrong sip of wine, one tainted bite of food, could turn his paradise into a hellscape. Let's now travel to Japan during the turbulent Sengoku era, a time of warring states and shifting loyalties. In this world, political alliances were often sealed not on a battlefield, but over a delicate tea ceremony or a shared meal. But just as alliances were forged over food, they were also broken. It was a common tactic for samurai lords to invite their rivals to dine, only to present them with a cup of sake poisoned with arsenic or other toxins. This wasn't just a brutish strategy. It was considered a dark art form, a deadly dance between honor and ambition, where the line between guest and victim was dangerously thin. The slightest hesitation, the smallest sign of suspicion, could be fatal. A shared meal was a test of trust, and failing that test meant certain death. The threat of a poisoned chalice wasn't unique to Japan. In the opulent Topkapi Palace of the Ottoman Empire, the Sultan's meals were prepared under conditions of extreme secrecy. A small army of cooks worked in locked kitchens, and every single dish was first tested by a series of royal guards and food tasters before it ever reached the Sultan's lips. The fear of assassination was constant. Legends say that Sultan Ibrahim the Foe, who reigned in the 17th century, lived in a state of perpetual paranoia. He saw potential assassins in every shadow and believed every meal could be his last. In those glittering silk-draped halls, even the rich aroma of spices and roasting meat carried with it the faint, chilling scent of death. And this paranoia wasn't limited to ancient history. Fast forward to the 20th century and the darkest regime of modern times. Adolf Hitler, a man pathologically obsessed with his own survival, took this fear to an unprecedented level. He employed a group of 15 young women whose sole job was to be his food tasters. They had to eat every single meal prepared for him about an hour before he did, to ensure it wasn't poisoned. One of these women, Margot Völk, survived the war and later shared her terrifying story. She said they would burst into tears of relief after each meal, simply because they were still alive. For them, every breakfast, lunch, and dinner was a game of Russian roulette. For Hitler's paranoia, the dinner table wasn't a place of nourishment. It was a battlefield. But it wasn't always rulers and political figures who fell victim to deadly meals. Sometimes, history's most fatal dinners weren't born of malice, but of simple, tragic ignorance. In 1971, in a remote village in the Philippines, a communal meal turned into a mass tragedy. Dozens of people died after eating cassava root, a local staple that hadn't been properly detoxified to remove its naturally occurring cyanide. A simple mistake in preparation cost an entire community dearly. Similarly, in Japan, the fugu, or pufferfish, is a celebrated delicacy. But if it isn't prepared by a master chef who knows how to remove its toxic organs, a single bite can cause paralysis and death within minutes. Even today, in the pursuit of luxury and exotic flavors, death can sometimes share the same plate. From ancient Rome to modern-day Japan, from the halls of Versailles to the bunkers of Berlin, one truth echoes across the centuries. The most dangerous weapon in history wasn't always a sword, a gun, or a bomb. Sometimes it was as simple and unassuming as a spoon. It makes you wonder, as the candles fade and the tables are cleared from history's great banquets, how many of those recorded natural deaths were really just accidents of fate? And how many were something else entirely? The perfect crime, served on a silver platter. Thank you so much for joining me on this dark culinary journey through history. If you found this story fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the shadows of the past. Let me know in the comments which of these stories shocked you the most. Until next time, stay curious.